The notes.
A complex pun, either a reference to the vow of silence which Brahmins and frogs have been keeping all year while estivating, or to their duty to chant or croak now. Parjanya is the god of the rainstorm, see Fem 5.83 and 7.101. Most obviously a frog, but also with possible allusion to VR trailing under the waters that Indra released on a parallel and auspicious occasion, January 32nd, 10 cf. Parjanya's leather bag full of rains 5 points. Sanskrit for brek coax, the sacred chant in the frogs of Aristophanes. He approaches him for instruction, for the father teaches his son the Vedic chants. A pun, the word parvan means a piece of a text or a chapter, the closing lines of which are chanted in harmony or unison, but with reference to the frogs, it means a limb, a piece of the body. Sayan A says that in the hot dry season, the frogs turn to earth, and in the rains they reappear with full-limbed bodies, every piece united. An elaborate ceremony lasting through the night and involving Soma, the Advaryas who perform ritual in contrast with the Brahmins who offer prayer. Heat, in verse 8, refers specifically to the heated cauldron of milk offered in the Pravargya ceremony. When applied to the frogs, it retains its more general meaning of heat, particularly the heat of summer. The priests sweat over the cauldron, while the frogs appear to sweat as they are covered with drops of water. In verse 9, the hot fires refer to the heat of summer, not the sacrificial fires. They perform the proper ritual at the proper season. Now they chant the hymns appropriate to the beginning of the year, the rains. The frogs are described with the phrases traditionally devoted to generous patrons who extend their own lifespans as a reward for giving riches to the sages composing the hymns, or as priests extending the lifespans of the patrons. This is accomplished by means of 1,000 soma pressings, or else it extends the lifespan long enough to perform 1,000 soma pressings.
9.122 Human diversity, a hymnum to Soma.
A humorous, ironic, and worldly hymn whose straightforward message seems to be that we are all after the same thing, wealth. This thought recurs in more lofty tones throughout the Rig Veda, as in the references to wealth in the hymns to Varun, Us, and Vishnu. The hymn is loosely linked to Soma through the refrain, "It may be a work song," to be sung during the pressing of the Soma. To divert the mind, says Sayana, it is quite diverting. Our thoughts bring us to diverse callings, setting people apart. The carpenter seeks what is broken, the physician a fracture, and the Brahmin priest seeks one who presses Soma. O drop of Soma, flow for Indra, with his dried twigs, with feathers of large birds, and with stones, the smith seeks all his days a man with gold. O drop of Soma, flow for Indra. I am a poet, my dad's a physician, and mom a miller with grinding stones. With diverse thoughts we all strive for wealth, going after it like cattle. O drop of Soma, flow for Indra. The harnessed horse longs for a light cart. Seducers long for a woman's smile. The penis for the 2 hairy lips, and the frog for water. O drop of Soma, flow for Indra.
The notes.
All 3 seek patrons or customers. The Brahmin priest is the one who rectifies any errors that may have been committed in the course of the sacrifice. He is therefore a sacerdotal fixer or sacrificial physician, like the other 2. Diverse callings may also imply conflicting interests. It is to the physician's advantage when the patient sustains a fracture. The plant's wings and stones may be used for kindling, fanning the flames, and whetstones, or as sticks to make the shafts of arrows, feathers for their fletches, and stones for their arrowheads. Highly vernacular words for father and mother are used here. Sayana points out one more unexpressed longing implicit in the verse. The poet longs for Soma and for gold, for a generous patron, like all the others in the hymn.
6.75 to arms.
This is a benediction that the royal chaplain would recite over the arms of the king before a military expedition, or to bless the warriors protecting the consecrated stallion in the horse sacrifice. Each item in the arsenal is described separately and praised. His face is like a thundercloud when the armored warrior goes into the lap of battles. Conquer with an unwounded body, let the power of armor keep you safe. With the bow, let us win cows. With the bow, let us win the contest and violent battles with the bow. The bow ruins the enemy's pleasure. With the bow, let us conquer all the corners of the world. She comes all the way up to your ear like a woman who wishes to say something, embracing her dear friend. Humming like a woman, the bowstring stretched tight on the bow carries you safely across in the battle. These two, who go forward like a woman going to an encounter, hold the arrow in their lap as a mother holds a son. Let the two bow tips, working together, pierce our enemies and scatter our foes. He is the father of many daughters, and many are his sons. He makes a rattling sound as he goes down into battle. The quiver wins the attacks and all the skirmishes when he is strapped on a back and set to work. Standing in the chariot, the skillful charioteer drives his prize-winning horses forward wherever he wishes to go. Praise the power of the reins. The guides follow the mind that is behind them. Neighing violently, the horses with their showering hoofs outstrip everyone with their chariots. Trampling down the foes with the tips of their hoofs, they destroy their enemies without veering away. The wagon of transport, oblation is its name, on which the weapons and armor are placed. On it let us place the working chariot, and be of good heart all our days. The fathers have assembled around the sweet one, giving power, a refuge in time of need, powerful and deep, with wondrous armies and the strength of arrows, unfading and all with equal manly powers. They loom immense as they storm the massed armies. Fathers, Brahmins worthy of Soma, let the faultless sky and earth be kind to us. Let Pu Sanan keep us from going the wrong way. O you who thrive on order, guard us so that no one who plots evil will have power over us. Her robe is an eagle, and her tooth is a deer, bound with cows. She flies as she is sent forward. Let the arrows give us shelter wherever men run together and run apart. Spare us, O weapon, flying true to its mark. Let our body be stone. Let Soma speak a blessing upon us. Let a deity give us shelter. He beats them on the back and strikes them on the haunches. A whip for horses, drive forward into battle the horses who sense what is ahead. It wraps itself around the arm like a serpent with its coils, warding off the snap of the bowstring. Let the gauntlet, knowing all the ways, protect on all sides, a man protecting a man. The divine arrow is smeared with poison, with a head of antelope horn and a mouth of iron. To this seed of Parjanya I bow low. Once shot, fly far away, arrow, sharpened with prayer. Go straight to our foes and do not leave a single one of them there. Where the arrows fall as thick as boys with untrimmed locks of hair, there let Brahmanaspati and Aditi give us shelter. Give us shelter for all our days. I cover with armor those places on you where a wound is mortal. Let Soma the king dress you in ambrosia. Let Varu Ene make wider yet your wide realm. Let the gods rejoice in you as you are victorious. Whoever would harm us, whether it be one of our own people or a stranger or someone from far away, let all the gods ruin him. My inner armor is prayer.
The notes.
The armor is both the literal mail on the warrior and the armor implicit in the protection afforded by the present hymn and by sacred power in general. The word can mean both a battle and a meeting, either a rendezvous with a lover or a public meeting like a wedding or a festival. The arrows are the sons and daughters of the quiver. The transport wagon would carry not only the weapons and armor of the warrior, but his lighter war chariot as well. Here it is further likened to the oblation that carries the prayer to the gods, as Agni is said to be the transporter, either through pure metaphor or as a reference to the actual use of the transport wagon to carry the oblation before and after battle. The fathers are both prototypes of warriors, especially in their role in assisting Indra to set the cows free from the cave and sources of power for their warrior descendants. The Soma. The arrow is robed in eagle feathers, tipped with deer horn and bound with leather thongs. The leather protecting the forearm. The arrow is made of reed, which is said to contain the seed, rain of Parjanya. The simile is based either upon the image of arrows falling as close together as strands of hair on the head of a boy whose hair is thick, or arrows whose feathers are like the strands of hair on the boys, or arrows falling helter-skelter like young boys at play, or, in immortality, the effect of drinking ambrosia.
10.34 The Gambler's Lament.
Tradition regards dice as the divinity to which this hymn is addressed, for the dice are praised in it, though they are also reviled. This is a monologue in which a gambler wrestles with his compulsive attraction to the dice. First, the dice are born during a storm in which the brown nuts from which they are made cease to hang like pendant earrings from the nut tree and fall, to be made into dice. When the gambler loses his money, his wife is first alienated and then mistreated. They touch her, pulling at her garments, hair, etc., says the commentator, perhaps thinking of the famous scene in the Mahabharata, where Draupadi, the wife of the brothers who have lost her at dice, is abused. She is ashamed and angry, rejected by him, probably when she tries to stop him from gambling, and in turn rejecting him, probably when he tries to get money from her. He enters houses at night to steal or to borrow money, but when he finally abjures the dice, he is advised to be happy with what he has, and perhaps even to hope to win back his estranged wife and his lost cattle. Although this is basically a secular hymn, and in the monologue-duologue form associated with non-liturgical hymns, one must bear in mind the religious significance of dice playing in ancient India, the essential role played by the dice game in the royal ceremony of consecration, and the use of throws of the dice to represent the 4 ages, or yugas. Moreover, the hymn ends with a vow of repentance and a firm purpose of amendment that express a fervent religious faith. The trembling hazelnut eardrops of the great tree, born in a hurricane, intoxicate me as they roll on the furrowed board. The dice seem to me like a drink of soma from Mount Mujavant, keeping me awake and excited. She did not quarrel with me or get angry. She was kind to my friends and to me. Because of a losing throw of the dice, I have driven away a devoted wife. My wife's mother hates me, and my wife pushes me away. The man in trouble finds no one with sympathy. They all say, I find a gambler as useless as an old horse that someone wants to sell. Other men fondle the wife of a man whose possessions have been coveted by the plundering dice. His father, mother, and brothers all say of him, we do not know him. Tie him up and take him away. When I swear I will not play with them, I am left behind by my friends as they depart. But when the brown dice raise their voice as they are thrown down, I run at once to the rendezvous with them, like a woman to her lover. The gambler goes to the meeting hall, asking himself, will I win, and trembling with hope. But the dice cross him and counter his desire, giving the winning throws to his opponent. The dice goad like hooks and prick like whips. They enslave, deceive, and torment. They give presents as children do, striking back at the winners. They are coated with honey and irresistible power over the gambler. Their army, 3 bands of 50, plays by rules as immutable as those of the god Savitra. They do not bow even to the wrath of those whose power is terrifying. The king himself bows down before them. Down they roll and up they spring. Handless they master him that has hands. Unearthly coals thrown down on the gaming board. Though they are cold, they burn out the heart. The deserted wife of the gambler grieves, and the mother grieves for her son, who wanders anywhere, nowhere. In debt and in need of money, frightened, he goes at night to the houses of other men. It torments the gambler to see his wife, the woman of other men, in their comfortable rooms. But he yoked the brown horses in the early morning, and at evening he fell down by the fire, no longer a man. To the general of your great army, the first king of your band, to him I hold out my 10 fingers, and swear this to be the truth. I am holding back no money. This is what the noble Savitra shows me. Play no longer with the dice, but till your field, enjoy what you possess and value it highly. There are your cattle, and there is your wife, O gambler. Grant us your friendship. Have pity on us. Do not bewitch us with the force of your terrible sorcery. Lay to rest your anger, your hatred. Let someone else fall into the trap of the brown dice.
The notes.
The soma plant that grows on Mount Mujavant is often said to prevent sleep. The dice, or his friends. That is, taking them back again. Just as the rules of Savit are fixed and binding over all creatures, even the other gods, so too the actions of the dice are incomprehensible and ineluctable. The commentator suggests that the dice play on the gaming board as Savit plays in the universe, either actual horses or a metaphor for the brown dice. The general may be Kali, the losing throw, later personified as the spirit of gambling. The 10 fingers are extended both in the traditional gesture of submission and to show that the gambler is now literally empty-handed, that he has no more money for the dice to take.
10.146 Lost in the Forest.
A traveler lost in the forest becomes frightened and succumbs to twilight mirages. Fees 3 to 4. He begs the female spirit of the forest, mentioned nowhere else in the Rig Veda, not to harm him. Spirit of the forest, who seem to melt away, how is it that you do not ask about a village? Doesn't a kind of fear grasp you when the chichika bird takes up the refrain from the droning cricket? The spirit of the forest is like a hunter startling the game with his noisy beaters. The spirit of the forest at evening. You think you see cows grazing. You think you see a house. You think a cart is rumbling. Whoever stays in the forest at evening imagines someone is calling his cow. Someone else is cutting wood. Someone is crying out. The spirit of the forest does not kill, not if no one else approaches. She eats sweet fruit and lies down wherever she pleases. Mother of wild beasts, untilled by a plow but full of food, sweet smelling of perfume and balm, to her the spirit of the forest I offer my praise.
The notes.
The poet, the traveler lost in the forest, imagines that the spirit of the forest camouflages herself among the trees because she is afraid. He projects his fears upon her. That is, why do you not ask where a village is so that you can go there? People would return in the evening with a cart laden with wood. The small sounds of the forest imitate the creaking of such a cart. A tiger or a robber might kill you, but this is not blamed upon the forest deity. The spirit of the forest, being vegetarian, is harmless. She rests at night, in contrast with the demons and beasts who roam about.
The women.
The Rig Veda is a book by men about male concerns in a world dominated by men. One of these concerns is women, who appear throughout the hymns as objects, though seldom as subjects. Though Aditi is the only Vedic goddess of true stature, many female nouns, often abstractions, are personified as female divinities. Dawn, 1.922, night, 10.127, the waters, 10.174, and the forest, 10.146. So too, destruction makes a sinister appearance quite often, and the bitch Sarama assists Indra, 10.181. In addition, the Rig Veda presents several women who, if not goddesses, are at least immortal or quasi-immortal. Yami, 10.1, Urazi, 10.85, and the wives of Indra and the monkey, 10.86. Moreover, several immortal or semi-mortal women appear in the Rig Veda in two groups of hymns that explore with surprisingly consistent detail and concept the relationships between men and women, mortal and immortal. In Escuria Esconia, the first is a group of conversation hymns, ahyanas, and the second is a group of narratives centering around marriage, courtship, marriage, adultery, and estrangement. The conversation hymns are a genre that is scattered throughout the Rig Veda, from 10.135, 10.51, 10.124, 4.267, 10.108, 10.28, etc. It is particularly associated with hymns that relate to fertility and may have been part of a special ritual performance involving actors and dancers. The dialogues with women all represent situations in which one member of the pair attempts to persuade the other to engage in some sort of sexual activity. Sometimes it is the woman who takes the role of persuader, 10.1, 1.179, 8.91. Sometimes the man, 10.95, 10.86, the mortal woman, is successful, 1.179, 8.91, while the immortal woman is not, 10.179. The immortal man succeeds, 10.86, while the mortal fails, 10.95. The conversations between mortal men and immortal women, 10.1 to 10.95, end in the separation of the couple. Between mortal men and women, 1.99, or immortal men and mortal women, 8.91. The result is union. The complex VRS Akapi hymn, involving two couples, seems to end in union, 10.86. The marriage hymns, like the conversation hymns, return again to the problem of sexual rejection. Yami is rejected by Yama, Lopamudra by Agastya, Pururabhas by Urvasi. Apala fears that she will be rejected by her husband because she is not beautiful, and this is a theme which haunts the marriage hymns. The woman wishes to be Subhaga, beautiful, hence loved by her husband, hence fortunate. Goese invokes the Asvins to help her find a husband because they are the most helpful of the gods, but also because they appreciate beauty and are known to restore impotent men. So too, Mudgala's wife hopes that Indra will turn her husband from a steer to a bull. The woman is rejected, therefore, either because she lacks beauty or because her husband lacks virility, and the two reasons are causally intertwined in the hymn. The woman is also rejected because she is dangerous. The defloration of the bride endangers the groom, and the abducted wife is a source of danger to the abductor. This danger is, like the woman's ugliness, causally related to the problem of the husband's virility. Subhaga then assumes the further connotation of fortunate in having a virile husband who lives long, so that the woman does not become a widow. Despite these dangers, the marriage hymns, unlike the conversation hymns, all have happy endings.
10.1 Yama and Yami.
Yama, the first son of the sun, is regarded in later mythology as the first mortal man and king of the dead, while Manu, the sun's other son, is regarded as the ancestor of the human race. In Avestan mythology, the primeval incest of the twins Yama and Yami remains an important episode in the procreation of the human race. In India, Yama rejects the erotic solicitations of his sister in the Rig Veda and is never again exposed to them, for later Indian mythology is significantly silent about the affair. The hymn is not, however, a commentary on a social charter, thou shalt not commit incest, but rather a speculation, ultimately negative, on a possible cosmogony, the male and female twins functioning as a variant of the androgyny. The hymn begins, as is usual with those of the conversation genre, in medias res. Yami invokes gods of procreation and argues that the human race must be preserved. Yama counters by invoking moral gods and their laws. Unlike the similar conversation between Agastya and Lopamudra, 1.179, this hymn ends with the rejection of the woman, who finally loses her temper completely. Would that I might draw my friend into intimate friendship, now that he has gone far across the ocean. A man of foresight should receive a grandson from the father, thinking of what lies ahead on earth. Your friend does not desire this friendship, in which a woman of his kind would behave like a stranger. The heroes, the sons of the Great Spirit, supporters of the sky, see far and wide. The immortals desire this, that offspring should be left by the one more. Let your mind unite with my mind, as a husband enter the body of your wife. Shall we do now what we have not done before? Shall we who spoke truth out loud now whisper falsehood? The divine youth in the waters, and the woman of the waters, such is our source, our highest birth. Yami, the god Tvastiar, the creator and impeller, shaper of all forms, made us man and wife even when we were still in the womb. No one disobeys his commands. Earth and sky are our witnesses for this. Yama, who was witness of that first day? Who has seen it? Who can proclaim it here? The law of Mitra and Varna is high. Yet what will you say to men, wanton woman, to seduce them? Yami, desire for Yama has come upon me. Yami, the desire to lie with him upon the same bed. Let me open my body to him as a wife to her husband. Let us roll about together like the two wheels of a chariot. Yama, these spies of the gods who wander about here below do not stand still, nor do they bunk their eyes. Wanton woman, go away fast with another man, not with me. Roll about with him like the two wheels of a chariot. She would do what he wished in the nights and in the days. She would deceive the eye of the sun for the instant of the blink of an eye. We twins are related in the same way as sky and earth. Let Yami behave toward Yama as if she were not his sister. Yama, later ages will come indeed when blood relatives will act as if they were not related. Make a pillow of your arm for some bull of a man. Seek another husband, lovely lady, not me. What good is a brother when there is no protector? What good is a sister when destruction breaks out? Overcome with desire, I whisper this again and again. Mingle your body with my body. Yama. Never will I mingle my body with your body. They call a man who unites with his sister a sinner. Arrange your lustful pleasures with some other man, not with me, lovely lady. Your brother does not want this. Yami. Damn it, Yami, how feeble you are. I have not been able to find any mind or heart in you. Some other woman will surely embrace you like a girth embracing a harnessed stallion, or a creeper embracing a tree. You, too, Yami, will surely embrace another man, and he will embrace you as a creeper embraces a tree. Seek his mind, and let him seek yours. Join with him in proper harmony.
The notes.
The ocean may be the metaphorical ocean separating mortals like Yama from immortals, as Yami may be, in which case he is Yama, but he may be the avenging god whom Yama fears, 6 and 8, or the sun in the water, Va 4, in which case Yami is assuring her brother that he need not fear, as the spy is absent across the ocean. This may mean that Yama does not wish the woman of his kind, his sister, to act like a stranger, like a woman with whom sexual contact is allowed. In caste terms, he avoids marriage within the subgroup Gotra. Less likely, but possible, is the interpretation that Yama fears that a woman not like him, an immortal, will behave like one of his kind, a mortal woman, one who may have sexual contact with him. In caste terms, he avoids marriage outside the group, Varune. The gods, or perhaps just the Adityas, the particular servants of Varune most likely, as guardian of the moral law, or Rudra, punisher of incest, in which case the heroes would be the Maruts. The word manas can designate mind or heart, the seat of both rational and emotional functions. But since it is later contrasted with a word for heart, vert 13, it is here probably limited to the first connotation. Here, Yami implies that Yama actually is her husband, a thought which she makes explicit in V5. Later, however, she merely asks him to behave as if he were her husband, as her resolve weakens. The word anra means not merely to speak a lie, but to say something that violates the moral order, to say something that may be true but should not be. Probably the sun, born of the waters, but perhaps just any Gandharva. Yama argues both that people born of such lofty parents should not break the moral law, and also that he and Yami, having the same parents, cannot procreate together. The god of procreation and the artisan of the gods, fashioner of the embryo in the womb, chapter 16.1-40.1, 4.18, 3.3. Here, and in verse 9, Yami argues that sky and earth are as closely related as she and Yama are, that their procreation was not only permitted but even archetypal. Bull is Vedic slang for a virile man, like stud in American. Cf 1.1790.1 and 1.1790.4. She argues that a brother should protect his sister, even if this involves incest, to keep her from going unsatisfied and unfertilized. Ironically, it is the brother who should find a husband for his sister and avenge her if she is rejected. Destruction. Both in the wider sense of the destruction of the human race, as she argues in verse 1, or in the more particular sense of the destruction that comes upon a man who dies sonless.
1.179, Agastya and Lopamudra.
In this conversation, Lopamudra seeks to turn her husband Agastya, who has undertaken a vow of chastity, away from his asceticism so that he will beget a child upon her. Although he argues that there are two ways to achieve happiness, or immortality, she overpowers him, and afterwards he wishes to atone for his lapse by drinking soma, ingesting the divine form of the protean fluid that, in its human form, has just been sucked from him. Finally, the poet affirms that the two of them, by uniting after each had perfected a power, she eroticism, he asceticism, achieved both forms of immortality, spiritual and corporeal, through children. Lopamudra, for many autumns past, I have toiled, night and day, and each dawn has brought old age closer, age that distorts the glory of bodies. Virile men too should go to their wives. For even the men of the past who acted according to the law and talked about the law with the gods broke off when they did not find the end. Women should unite with virile men. Not in vain is all this toil, which the gods encourage. We too must always strive against each other, and by this we will win the race that is won by 100 means. when we merge together as a couple. Desire has come upon me for the bull who roars and is held back. Desire engulfing me from this side, that side, all sides. Lopomudra draws out the virile bull. The foolish woman sucks dry the panting wise man. By this soma which I have drunk, in my innermost heart I say, let him forgive us if we have sinned, for a mortal is full of many desires. Agastya, digging with spades, wishing for children, progeny, and strength, nourished both ways, for he was a powerful sage, he found fulfillment of his real hopes among the gods.
The notes.
This word often refers to the exertion of religious activity. When she uses it, she may refer to her work as his wife, or to her own asceticism. The commentator suggests that both of them practice asceticism. And when he uses it, he refers to his asceticism. This word, VRS, recurs throughout this hymn and elsewhere in the Rig Veda, cf. 1.32, October 10th, 10. Its basic meaning is one who sheds rain or seed. It comes to mean a potent male animal. Parti, coolerly, a bull or a stallion. The end of their asceticism, that is, they died childless and unsuccessful. He argues that each of them should go his own way, as various strategies are needed to win the race for happiness and immortality, but he implies that he will ultimately accede to her importunities. By striving together, they will engage in the agonistic Vedic sacrifice, like two rival priests. He holds back his seed. If this verse is placed in Agastya's mouth, it would mean, the desire of my swelling teat, which is held back, overwhelms me. He pants either with desire before or exhaustion after. The verb merely indicates heavy breathing. This verse may follow an episode of mimed sexual intercourse, a metaphor rare in the Rig Veda but widespread elsewhere and obvious.
10.95 Pururavas and Urvasi.
This famous hymn takes the form of a conversation at a moment near the end of a complex myth. The myth is told in a later Brahmana text with several details that may not be true to the original Vedic version, but that provide a good background to the hymn. The water nymph Urvasi loved Puruvas. When she married him, she made him promise never to let her see him naked. She lived with him for a long time and became pregnant by him, but the Gandharvas carried off the two lambs that were tied to her bed, and she cried out, "They are taking away my son," as if there were no hero or man here. Then Pururavas, thinking, "How can there be no hero here when I am here?" sprang out of bed without taking the time to put anything on. The Gandharvas produced a flash of lightning, and she saw him naked in the light as clear as day. She vanished, and he wandered in sorrow until he came to a lake where there were nymphs swimming about in the shape of water birds, Urvasi and the other nymphs. They appeared to him at her request, and the conversation between Pururavas and Urvasi took place, as in the Vedic hymn. The Brahmana goes on to say that Urvasi took pity on Pururavas and lay with him for one night in a golden palace. After that, the Gandharvas gave him a magic fire and taught him to kindle it in a special way and to make a special pot of rice with it, and in that way, he became one of the Gandharvas. The present hymn presents a rather different view of the myth, implying that Urvasi was not as happy with Pururavas as he was with her, and as he thought she was with him. She refuses to return to him, nor does she promise to make him immortal, though this might be read into the final verse. My wife, turn your heart and mind to me. Stay here, dangerous woman, and let us exchange words. If we do not speak out these thoughts of ours, they will bring us no joy, even on the most distant day. Urvasi, what use to me are these words of yours? I have left you, like the first of the dawns. Go home again, Puravasi, or like an arrow shot from the quiver for a prize, or like a racehorse that wins cattle, that wins hundreds. As if there was no man with power there, they made the lightning flash, and in their frenzy thought to bleat like sheep. She brought to her husband's father nourishing riches, and whenever her lover desired her, she came to his home across from her dwelling place and took her pleasure in him, pierced by his rod day and night. Indeed, you pierced me with your rod 3 times a day, and filled me even when I had no desire. I followed your will, Pururavas. You were my man, king of my body. Sujara wo sujarnu sunyapi and iha techasa granthini karanyu. They have all slipped away like the red colors of dawn, lowing one louder than the other, like milk cows. When he was born, the goddesses encircled him, and the rivers that sing their own praises raised him, since the gods raised you, Pururavas, for the great battle, for the killing of enemies. When I, a mortal man, courted these immortal women who had laid aside their veils, they shied away from me like excited gazelles, like horses grazed by the chariot. When a mortal man, wooing these immortal women, unites with their group as they wish, make your bodies beautiful, like water birds, like horses biting in their love glib. She of the waters flashed lightning like a falling lightning bolt, and brought me the pleasures of love. From the water was born a noble, manly son. Let Urvasi lengthen the span of his life. You who were born to protect, Puruvasi, have turned that force against me. I warned you on that very day, for I knew, but you did not listen to me. Why do you talk in vain? When will the son born of me seek his father? He will shed tears, sobbing when he learns. Who would separate a man and wife who are of one heart, when the fire still blazes in the house of the husband's parents? I will answer, he will shed tears, crying, sobbing, longing for tender care. I will send you what I have of yours. Go home, you will never have me, you fool. What if your lover should vanish today, never to return, going to the farthest distance? Or if he should lie in the lap of destruction? Or if the ferocious wolves should eat him? Uravas, do not die, do not vanish, do not let the vicious wolves eat you. There are no friendships with women, they have the hearts of jackals. When I wandered among mortals in another form and spent the nights with you for 4 years, once each day I swallowed a drop of butter, and even now I am sated with that, followed by pain. I, the lover of Urvasi, long to draw her to me, though she fills the air and measures the middle realm of space. Return and reap the reward for a good deed. Fire consumes my heart. Hey, the poet, this is what these gods say to you, son of Ila. Since you are a kinsman of death, your descendants will sacrifice to the gods with the oblation, but you shall taste joy in heaven.
The gnomes.
The Gandharvas, anxious to have her back in heaven, tricked Pururavas. Pururavas speaks of Urvasi in the third person, referring to a long time ago. The Sakspat Brahmane says that part of Urvasi contract with Pururavas included the stipulation that he must strike her with his rod 3 times a day. Here he seems to boast of it. Hut, she then complains that B did it against her will. The nymphs apparently were with her during the marriage and vanished with her. They have reappeared now with her, but apparently wish to vanish right away again. Verses 6, 7, 10, and 12-13 refer to a son of Pururavas and Urvasi. Pururavas seems not to have known of him until this moment, a common motif in myths of the mortal lover of an immortal woman. Urvasi implies that she and Pururavas united merely to produce the child, so that there is no longer any reason for them to remain together. The Apsarases, water nymphs, like the river goddesses. Urdvasi implies that they had to flee with her in order to care for the expected child of such a great father. The enemies are demons. Kalidasa's play based on this myth tells that Pururavas first met Urvasi when he rescued her from demons. Later, Indra allowed Pururavas to keep Urvasi forever in return for his services in arms against Indra's demonic enemies. Either they had disrobed at night, as Pururavas had done, or they had laid aside their immortal forms. At the present moment, they may have taken off their waterbird forms so that he could speak with them, or taken off their clothes to bathe. The adjective may imply that they are in heat and hence especially nervous. She seems to be advising the Apsarases not to run away, as Pururavas has complained in the previous verse if he approaches them properly, i.e., keeps his promise. She accuses him of taking hex against her will, and also reminds him of royal duties that he is neglecting in his pursuit of her. The implication is that his parents are still alive and will be saddened and ashamed to see them apart after so short a time. She implies that the child will weep because he misses her, not him, when she has sent the boy to Pururavas, or else that he will weep for what he has missed when at last he finds his father. Here she merely advises him not to kill himself as he threatens. In the Brahma Na text, she actually gets the Gandharvas to teach him how to become immortal. The word is actually jackal wolves, echoing the previous image of wolves. The jackal later becomes the symbol of an unfaithful woman. As a goddess, she is filled by the oblation and spurns her mortal lover. As a woman, she has had more than enough of his butter, frequently a metaphor for semen. The term Aila could be son of either Aile or Aila, as Puruvas was born of a woman, Il Ai, who had been changed from her original form as a man, Il A. Their mortal son will make offerings to him in the world of the dead, but Puruvas will be in the world of heaven.
8.91 Apala and Indra.
The first and last verses of this hymn narrate the story of Apala. In between are verses spoken by her. The story is known from later commentaries. Apala was a young woman hated by her husband, VFV 4, because she had a skin disease, VFV 7. She found Soma, VFV 1, pressed it in her mouth and offered it to Indra, VFV 2. Indra made love to her, which she at first resisted, VFV 3, and then consented to, V4. She asked him to cure her and also to restore fertility to her father and to his fields. 5.6. This triple boon is accomplished by an obscure triple ritual. Later tradition states that being drawn through 3 chariot holes caused her to slough her skin 3 times. The first skin became a hedgehog, the second an alligator, the third a chameleon. The Vedic verse merely states that her skin became sun-like, i.e. fair, and the ritual has obvious sexual symbolism. This symbolism provides a parallel to the motif of the cure, for while her skin is purified, she is also given pubic hair, either because she had been hairless as a result of the skin disease, or because she was an adolescent maiden, VV1, who is made a woman by Indra. A maiden going for water found Soma by the way. She brought it home and said, "I will press it for you, Indra. I will press it for you, mighty one. Dear man, you who go watchfully into house after house, drink this that I have pressed with my teeth, together with grain and gruel, cakes and praises. We do not wish to understand you, and yet we do not misunderstand you. Slowly and gently, ever more gently flow for Indra, O drop of Soma. Surely he is able. Surely he will do it. Surely he will make us more fortunate. 0.1. Surely we who are hated by our husbands should flee and unite with Indra. Make these 3 places sprout, O Indra, my daddy's head and field and this part of me below the waist. That field of ours and this my body and my daddy's head, make them all grow hair. In the nave of the chariot, in the nave of the cart, in the nave of the yoke, O Indra of 100 powers, you purified Apala 3 times and made her sun skinned.